Dolo dhongwa jebe choy no par jebe geng tarba dan tam je gembe paridu chopra jeba tam je ge se jebe ma nang ka dang nyam pe sen chen tam je dewa dan ten tung yang dang de ne de la na me pa yang Dambara zobe chanchu rinpo che tombra chan thala thangwa chebe chan hobar chebe ke tharpa dang tam che kempe baridu chopra cheba tam che ke se chebe mhanang khadang nyampe sen chen tam che dewa than de Tunga dante nudu lana me pa yang dhabara sobe chanchu rinpo je dobara cha dhala dhamma jebe dra nubar jebe ge tarpa thang tam che kempe baridu chopara jeba tam che ke se jebe ma nang kadang nyampe se jen tam che deva thang de Tunga dante nudu lana me pa yang dhabara sobe chanchu rinpo je topra ja de je de sama ge ge bardu lunga yesum ge wala ko ma she bardu lunga yesum ge wala ko de tere ne sonde ne ma Santa samgi bardu lunga yesum Gewala ko zon che chodang sage chonam la chanche bardu dane gyamsu che dage jinsu gebe sonang ke rola penche sanje drupra shu sangye chodang sage chonam la chanche bardu dane gyamsu che Dāgī jinsū kīpē sōnāṃ kī rōlā pēnchē sāngkē rūprā shū sāngkē chōdāṃ sōkē chōnāṃ lā chāngchū bārdū dhāne gyāpsū chē dāgī jinsū kīpē sōnāṃ kī rōlā pēnchē sāngkē rūprā shū mōnāṃ kādāṃ nyāṃpē sāngchēn tamchē devādāṃ Dewe gyundan tempura gyurji, dungyao tang dungyao ji gyudan drava gyurji, dungyao mepe dewa dhamme drava gyurji, niring chadang nidang drava, danyang la nebra gyurji, nang kadang nyampe, senchen tamche dewa dang, dewe gyundan tempura gyurji, dungyao tang dungyao ji, Gyudan drava gyurji, dungyao mebe dewa dhamme drava gyurji, niring chadang nidang drava, danyang la nebra gyurji, monang kadang nyambe, senchen tamche dewa dang, dewe gyundan tempura gyurji, dungyao dang dungyao ji, gyudan drava gyurji, dungyao mebe dewa dhamme drava gyurji, niring chadang nidang drava, Danyang la nebra gyurji. So if you have the better text, 112. If you have the PDF for the 4-session Guru Yoga text, then it's page 12 in the PDF. I respectfully pay homage with fierce and longing faith of the three types to you, the glorious Guru, Lord of the four kayas. With my body, speech, and mind, I make offerings of all these established things, outer, inner, and other. the one who offers that which is offered, and the act of offering are indivisible in essence. This being so, I make this offering of the great single taste, free from elaborations. Grant me the accomplishment of effortlessness. I lay bare the impairments, breakings of the vows of the three vehicles, and rejoice in your liberating deeds. Please turn the wheel of Dharma in accordance with the capacities of those to be trained and remain here for as long as samsara has not been emptied. I dedicate the merit accumulated in the 3 times to the welfare of wandering beings. Jugu Drupa Druje Chan Chen La Sowa Thep So Kyaga Drupjen Kechu Sangha La Sowa Thep So Tili Shirab Sangpo La Sowa Thep So Naru Yeshe Ngudrum La Sowa Thep So Dhagyu Loda Marpa La Sowa Thep So Mila Shepa Durje La Soba Debso Dhabo Da Oshunu La Soba Debso Dubdo Kampa Misum La Soba Debso Paudu Durje Gyabo La Soba Debso Jason Durje Peltra La Soba Debso Gyabjo Jikten Sumgön La Soba Debso Juje Rana Shiri La Soba Debso Kenjen Sutrim Durje La Soba Debso Unjen Sonang Drapa La Soba Debso Jenga Drapa Jungne La Soba Debso Chungwo Durje Drapa La Soba Debso Toga Rinchen Senge La Soba Debso Samje Drapa Sonam La Soba Debso Chuni Durje Rinchen La Soba Debso Tugu Durje Gyapo La Soba Debso Nirni Chuki Gyapo La Soba Debso Shenin Dundru Gyapo La Soba Debso Rinchen Pyogi Gyatsen La Soba Debso Chogya Rinchen Pyosang La Soba Debso Ringzin Choki Gyaso La Soba Debso Gyawang Gunga Rinchen La Soba Debso Jese Rinchen Punso La Soba Debso Rinchen Nambar Gyawa La Soba Debso Penchen Pyogi Gyatsen La Soba Debso Chole Nambar Gyawa La Soba Debso Tsungme Chogya Punso La Soba Debso Drupjen Tashi Punso La Soba Debso Jesen Kunjo Rinchen La Soba Debso Ringzen Choki Rapa La Soba Debso Kunjo Drinle Namgya La Soba Debso Kunjo Drinle Zampo La Soba Debso Drinle Dondru Chogya La Soba Debso Kunjo Tenzin Drodru La Soba Debso Tenzin Chogi Nima La Soba Debso Kyamda Pime Gyatsen La Soba Debso Jamyan Chogi Gyatsen La Soba Debso Druwan Chogi Gyatsen La Soba Debso Rinchen tempe segen la so wa deb so, gyawang tuje nima la so wa deb so, ringzen nuden dorje la so wa deb so, jezen choki lo do la so wa deb so, gyao jo shive lo do la so wa deb so, jezen dharma kara la so wa deb so, Trisab tenzin tupten la so wa deb so, dragon dapo kaji la so wa deb so, dinchen sawe lama la so wa deb so. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the rarity of the freedoms and endowments, I still squander away my life. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on impermanence and death, I still fixate on composite phenomena as permanent. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the unmistaken nature of cause and effect, I still pervert what to adopt and what to abandon. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the sufferings of cyclic existence, I still take the way to the lower realms. Look upon me from afar, eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I safeguard the vows of individual liberation, I still lack renunciation and the determination to be free. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on all wandering beings as my parents, I still have bias attachment to friends and aversion for enemies. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate loving kindness and compassion, I still hold on to envy and enmity. Look upon me from afar with soft compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate aspiration and action. Bodhicitta, I still focus only on my own welfare. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my body as the deity's exalted form, I still cling to ordinary perception. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I have counted the mantras to be recited, I still waste away my life force. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate the samadhi of moon in the water, I still solidify things as real and substantial. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I conclude by dissolving in the subsequent stage, I still purify and confess superficially. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my own mind as free from elaborations, I still have conceptual attitudes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate not grasping at whatever arises, I still affix an artificial watchfulness. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate resting freely in the natural state, I still amplify artificialities. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, Reckless and mundane, although I meditate on unity beyond conceptions, I still get carried away by the masses of likes and dislikes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, I supplicate you who are my refuge and protector. In this and all other lives, physician who removes the chronic diseases of samsara, hero who vanquishes the enemies that are afflictive emotions, sun which dispels the darkness of ignorance, moon that protects from the heat of suffering, jewel which fulfills all our needs and desires. You, Guru, who are all-inclusive and all-sufficient, I supplicate you from the depths of my heart. With compassion, swiftly heed me, effortlessly bestow your blessings. Grant me now and on this seed the naturally accomplished feast of the two beneficed. I am endowed with both merit and devotion. Do not leave my hopes unfulfilled. Don't cast away my devotion in vain. Don't let my supplications vanish unanswered. Don't be indifferent with your compassion, refuge and protector in this life, in the intermediate state and beyond, whatever occurs, joy or sorrow, good or bad. Only you are my hope. Look upon me with eyes of passion. You alone are my hope. Now the dedication, Jikten Sumgön's dedication prayer. Again, if you have the Beja text, it's page 98. Sublime, precious, venerable, and glorious root and lineage gurus, assembly of Idam deities, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas dwelling in the 10 directions, and all assemblies of Viras, Viranis, Yoginis, and Dakinis, please heed me. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and the inherent root of virtue not result in the 8 worldly dharmas, the 4 causes of samsara, and the resultant states of hearers and solitary realizers, and may all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, particularly those enemies who hate us, obstruct us, who harm those who create obstacles, Maras who mislead, and their Mara retinues have happiness, be separated from suffering, and quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, and precious Bodhi. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may we benefit beings with body, speech, and mind. May the afflictive thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind stream. May thoughts of name, fame, gain, respect, and so forth in this life not arise for even a moment. With my mind stream moistened by love, compassion, and bodhicitta, may I become a virtuous spiritual friend with good qualities limitless as space. May I achieve the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Now page 63, the fourth teaching. We begin the fourth teaching in this, the great Drikung teachings to the assembly. This is the book that we are slowly going over. The precious Lama taught the following. So, in general, it is necessary to be guided by a qualified, true Lama on the Mahayana path of secret mantra. Moreover, a Lama who himself has entered the gate of the secret mantra and is capable of giving an introduction to the meaning of the fourth empowerment is needed. So in particular, so here it says, when you are engaging in the, especially when you're engaging in the path of secret mantra, which is a division within the Mahayana teachings, the Mahayana practices. And what defines Mahayana practice is the practice that is motivated, the practice that is motivated by Bodhicitta. Remembering Bodhicitta that we have learned, right? A very exact and clear explanation that Kyupa Rinpoche gave in the very first teaching on Bodhicitta. So again, to repeat, Bodhicitta is not not merely compassion. I think especially in the West, we've gotten in the habit of just thinking Bodhicitta equals compassion. Compassion is one very important aspect of Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, as you know now, right, is first division into relative and ultimate Bodhicitta. Then within relative Bodhicitta, there are three parts to it, so to say, or three components. Maybe you can see it as the three legs of a tripod. Or maybe the analogy might be also the three wheels of a bicycle or of a tricycle. And so there's a front wheel and there's the two back wheels. So then the two back wheels are compassion and loving kindness for all beings. Right now, of course, our compassion and loving kindness is still limited. Not exactly all beings. So we have to keep working on that so that this love and compassion can be extended to all beings. Then the front wheel has to provide direction, If the two back wheels of love and compassion is really vast, really great, if it is not guided by the front wheel, then this tricycle could go in the wrong direction, right? This tricycle can just go off somewhere else, even dangerously, into the highway. Then you're in trouble. So the front wheel is the understanding that the way to truly and completely and thoroughly and meaningfully and ultimately benefit beings is to help them to arrive at the state of Buddha. And in order to do that, we ourselves need to get there. If we don't get to the state of Buddha, we can't take others there. Yeah? So we need to. So this is both a commitment for ourselves to become Buddha and a commitment to help others become Buddhas. Of course, this understanding it also needs to be informed by the Buddha's, fundamental teachings about causality, meaning how we want to help others, but it doesn't mean that just because you want to help others, others can be helped. It also requires others' causes and conditions. So that's relative bodhicitta. Then ultimate bodhicitta pertains to the nature of mind, the nature of phenomena, the mind that, wisdom mind that realizes emptiness. So that when those two are present, then our practice becomes Mahayana. Later in this collection of teachings, you'll see Jikten Sumgön especially addressing this idea that this teaching is Mahayana, that teaching is Hinayana, this text is Mahayana, that text is Hinayana, this technique is Mahayana, that technique is Hinayana. And he says, yeah, generally you could say that, but that understanding is superficial. A deeper understanding, an understanding that is more directly related to how we have to practice, is to understand that when the Buddha taught the Dharma, he simply taught the Dharma. He taught the 84,000 aspects of the Dharma for the purpose of clearing our 84,000 kleshas. And therefore, any and all of these 84,000 dharmas that he taught are part and parcel of a single path to awakening. Not 84,000 choices to choose from, but 84,000 dharmas all having a single purpose, and they're all parts and parcel of a single way to awakening. Thereby, it's not that this teaching is Hinayana and that teaching is Mahayana, although that's the general view. Here, Kyöpa Rinpoche says, rather than, getting caught up in running around, judging and evaluating, oh, that practice, that's a Hinayana practice. Oh, that's a Mahayana. Oh, that's a Mahayana. Oh, that's a Hinayana Sutra. Oh, that's a Mahayana Sutra. He says, no. Understand that what makes it Hina, meaning small, meaning individual, you could say, small, individual, lesser, and what makes it great, vast, universal, is the individual that is practicing. When your capacity is small, no matter what you practice, that's a small, limited practice. As your capacity becomes bigger, then no matter what you practice, that practice, its effect becomes vast. And so that's like a more profound point about these categories into lesser, greater. Anyway, here, before getting too carried away, because later in these teachings he talks about that. I'm just giving you a preview of. Here it says, in general, or you could also say, especially, one needs to be guided by a qualified lama when you are following the Mahayana path of secret mantra. And there is the Mahayana path that does not involve a secret mantra, and sometimes that's called the characteristics tradition, the tradition of characteristics and the tradition of secret mantra, or the tradition of the paramitas, and the tradition of secret mantra. Although that pair of terms sometimes gives the misunderstanding that in secret mantra you don't practice the paramitas. Oh, no. Of course you practice the paramitas. It's just the secret mantra style of practicing the paramitas. Yeah. So anyway, moreover, a lama who themselves has entered the gate of secret mantra and is capable of giving an introduction of someone who is capable of leading you to understand the meaning of the fourth empowerment. Such a guide, such a lama is necessary. So what is this fourth empowerment? In the footnote, it tells us the four empowerments are the vase empowerment, the secret empowerment, the prajna wisdom empowerment, and the word empowerment, or the precious word empowerment, or simply called the fourth empowerment. So all empowerments, implicitly, explicitly, should have these four empowerments. Or you could say, should have these four stages. Primarily, just very briefly, the vase empowerment is called vase empowerment because usually a vase, a bumpa, is used as part of the ritual implement. So that's the obvious kind of reason why it's called a vase empowerment, because a bumpa, a vase, is used. But again, that's the superficial explanation. The more important understanding in the vase empowerment is the vase is a symbol of the body. The body being the vase. So the purpose of a vase is to serve as a container. So maybe vase is not very good because vase, we stick flowers in them. It's really a pot. It's like a water pot. It's called a vase, then we're like going to stick flowers in them. No, it's bumba. It's really the purpose of a bumba is to serve as a container for precious drinks. So that precious drink, is the topic of the next three empowerments. So first, the container needs to be blessed, needs to be empowered. So in the vase empowerment, then, this body, and you could also say mind, actually, not just limited to body. It's basically the aggregates. So both body, mind. Often it's only said as body, but really you can think of it as both body and mind needs to be turned into a suitable, a proper vessel for the elixir to be put into, which is what happens with the second, third, and fourth empowerment. So first is the vase empowerment. And what that empowerment does is it introduces to the students, to the disciples, the pristine nature of their aggregates. It causes the students to give rise to this confidence, this understanding, this confidence, and even better, this experience of the aggregates as pure and pristine primordially. And then the secret empowerment, the prajna knowledge empowerment, or the prajna wisdom empowerment, and the word empowerment. So what is the word empowerment? Which is what is being said here. So the meaning of the word empowerment, the fourth empowerment, an ability to do that is what a qualified lama. If you were to say, if there is one quality that this lama needs to have for someone who is on the secret mantra path, at the least, in this context, this person needs to have the capability of giving the disciples, leading the disciples to understanding the fourth empowerment. Without being introduced to that meaning, it is difficult to even obtain empowerment, meaning if you don't understand the meaning of this fourth empowerment, then in fact, it's doubtful that any empowerment has been received. So, of course, we commonly say, oh, I received this empowerment, that empowerment, this empowerment, that empowerment. But to be more exact, we should say, I attended this empowerment and that empowerment. So, but if you ask me, it's like, it's good. It's good to respect and appreciate the outer form. Recognizing that it is the precious outer form that over time, inner realization, inner meaning can be developed by first working with outer form. In some ways, you could say this is the unique characteristic or emphasis, maybe not unique characteristic as in other traditions don't emphasize, but a unique, a strong emphasis in secret mantra is to not reject the outer, not to reject appearances, but rather to work with appearances through a variety of methods and techniques, which sometimes can feel overwhelming. But the emphasis in secret mantra is to work with sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. So then a particular set of practices have developed. The use of like ritual, the use of mythology, and folding all of these into a system of practice. But if we're not being introduced to the meaning, the meaning that is in the fourth empowerment, then the real purpose of empowerment cannot be achieved. It is with the introduction to the meaning of the fourth empowerment that empowerment is completely conferred. The meaning of the fourth empowerment. So now, what is this meaning? Gilbert Rinpoche is going to explain. Try to introduce us. So now you think of Gilbert Rinpoche as your guide, your root lama. And here are his precious words. If you need a qualified true lama, here are the words of the qualified true lama. Okay, sorry. Again, there are many ways, to talk about this meaning of the fourth empowerment. He is going to, in this teaching, explain the meaning through the practice of Samatha and vipaśyanā, calm abiding and insight. So here, a suggestion, It's good, if you generally know already what shamatha and vipaśyanā, these words refer to. But at the same time, don't be so quick to think, oh, I know what he's saying. Because often, his way of explaining these basic things has a dimension that is not highlighted by other people. So this is like this very unique way that Kyopa communicates the essence teachings. And so please pay attention to how he talks about this shamatha and vipaśyanā. In Tibetan, shine and lakdong. Shine and lakdong. Shi is peaceful. Ne is to abide peacefully. Shine. Lakdong. Dong is to see. Lak is like excellent seeing. Super seeing. Lakdong. Shine and lakdong in Tibetan. The meaning of the fourth empowerment is a meditative absorption of calm abiding and insight. Is when the mind settles deeply and evenly in a state that has both shamatha and vipaśyanā. In order to give rise to it in the mind, in your mind, you first need to work on calm abiding. So the meditative absorption of calm abiding must first be developed. About this, some think that it is not very difficult to give rise to this absorption of calm abiding. But that is not the case, because in order to give rise to this absorption, a basis is necessary. So here, very he gets to the heart of it. He says, some may think, calm abiding, oh, that's easy. And who are these who think calm abiding is easy? These are people who think, calm abiding. So the method is very simple. You put a pebble in front of you, then you make your mind stare at the pebble. Then now the mind has become quiet. Or a twig, or a Buddha image. Okay? So calm abiding, or breath. We think, just do that. And just do that until the mind becomes not distracted. That's calm abiding. And maybe in Kyopa's time, the feeling that calm abiding is easy is stronger than now, maybe, because now we are all suffering from distractions, La, 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 la. In 12th century, there's way less distractions, so maybe. But even now, I think those of us who think, to practice calm abiding is just, keep yanking your mind back to the object. Keep pulling your mind back to the object. To the object you're supposed to meditate on. Here you'll see Kyopa Rinpoche says, that's not the basis. The basis is a distaste for the 8 worldly concerns and the pleasures of the 5 senses. When that is present, the absorption of tranquility will arise in the mind stream. And so he points us in the direction of Shantideva. And Shantideva's chapter 8, Bodhicitta, on meditative concentration. Basically, the first part of the chapter is teaching us, helping us to develop this basis. So that chapter highlights the undesirable aspects of the things that we habitually desire and become attached to. And it talks about obsession with this body, attachment to this body, to the pleasures of the senses. So here, says the basis is a distaste for the 8 worldly concerns and the pleasures of the 5 senses. So the bodhisattvas entering the conduct of a bodhisattva, Shantideva's Bodhicayvatara says, understand that one who is well endowed with insight can, through calm abiding, destroy the afflictions, and first seek calm abiding by delighting in non-attachment to the world. So you have to develop a distaste for the distractions of samsara and develop, I would say, a taste for not I want. To develop a taste for that, an appreciation for, how wonderful to not be wanting all the time. Thus, the meditative absorption of calm abiding can arise in the mind stream when there is no attachment to the world. Moreover, calm abiding is twofold. There is a calm abiding of experiences. Footnote says, these are not, the experiences here are talking about experiences and sensations that arise during meditation practice, which is to be given up, and a calm abiding of realization, which is to be accomplished. So this is the calm abiding that is like involved with a bunch of these nice, mystical, special experiences. No matter how many times I've said this, people are still, nobody comes to me and say, oh, my meditation, now everything is so settled. Everything is so settled. I'm so at ease with everything. Nobody gets excited with that. I have not yet have anyone come to me excitedly telling me that. I have a lot of people coming, oh, that day when I was meditating, I experienced my body, all these things going on. Oh, I can feel that light coming. No matter how many times, we go over this, it doesn't enter. Forget about entering here. It doesn't even seem to enter here. We're so excited by the experience, the calm abiding. Here, Kyopa says, the calm abiding of experiences, which is to be given up. And the calm abiding of realization, which is to be accomplished. In fact, the first kind of calm abiding can give rise to all kinds of rather quote-unquote magical things. In fact, for a short time, maybe even you'll feel like you can kind of, not exactly, but you can kind of predict or foretell what's happening next. You have some kind of feeling, premonition. This is going to happen, and then tomorrow it happens, and then it happens again, and it happens again. And then you feel, oh, wow, this is great. I need to go tell someone now. That is to be given up. On the kamma abiding, that is to be accomplished. The sutra requested by Kinnara King Druma teaches that, quote, kamma abiding is when the mind is quiescent. And insight is to know phenomena. This is very profound. This line, very profound, and also refers, and this is also talking about the inseparability of kamma abiding and insight, which is the meaning of the fourth empowerment. When the mind is peaceful, again, maybe the word peaceful is the English in peaceful, it can just seem like it's talking about, doing yoga and doing mindfulness-based stress reduction, now feeling peaceful. No, it's not that kind of peaceful. Quiescent, in English, same meaning, but different word, a little bit fancier. Maybe using that word will again cause us to pause, and go, oh, wait, what does this mean? What this means is like the afflictive emotions are not in control. Not that they are gone, obviously. I mean, when they're gone, you're Buddha. But here, we don't need them to be gone. They may arise, they may still happen, chiefly due to past karma. Presently, you should not encourage the kleshas to grow. This is describing a state where you're not feeding the kleshas. Whatever afflictive emotions that do arise, they are the fruition of past karma that cannot be destroyed, or you have not successfully destroyed before they ripen, so they ripen. So they will still arise, but here, when they arise, the mind is not perturbed. The heart is not disturbed by these. So when doubt arises, for example, instead of like, I need answer, you are at a state of quiescence where instead of like, I need answers, you're like, well, yeah, that's another condition. And that condition is essenceless. And that condition passes. That passes. Anger arises, desire arises. Yet that is another condition. That condition has no essence. And that condition passes away. And you're not disturbed. So this line, kamma abiding is when the mind is quiescent, and insight, vipaśyanā, this super insight, this excellent insight is knowing phenomena, knowing experiences. So in the explanation that I gave, you can see that actually, right, kamma abiding informs insight, insight enhances kamma abiding. Right? So this is not the kind of kamma abiding where you are working on trying to manage. Because we say distractions, or we say, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts are distractions. So then this is not the kind of kamma abiding where you say, therefore, please, sight, go away. Sound, please go away. Taste, please go away. Thoughts, please go away. And then you find a room that is pitch dark and no sound can come in and no smell can come in, right? And you're like, okay, all the senses are not engaged now. Then thoughts start pouring in. Then you say, I need to take some medicine to get rid of thoughts, This is not the kind of kamma abiding we're practicing. Although there are some people who practice meditation in this way. Even the slightest sound, like, no. Oh, too close to a river, I cannot. Too close to the main road, I cannot. So this kind of practicing calm abiding, where you try to manage, is misguided. Yes, the Buddha encouraged and say, especially when you begin, you want to find a place with minimal distractions. But at the end of the day, what you manage is not external distractions, but your relationship with external distractions. Your relationship with distractions, whether internal or external. So they say that Buddha gave this analogy. It's like, don't be like a dog, but be like a lion. And that is talking about, when you throw a stone at the dog chases the stone. When you throw a stone at the lion comes directly at you. I have not seen this, I don't want to see this also. It's a little scary. But you can imagine that's what happens, When you throw a stone at the lion comes right at you. So you should be like a lion. Know who the stone thrower is. Not chasing stones. Go directly at the stone thrower. And that stone thrower is this mind that is not satisfied. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe that, maybe that, maybe that, maybe that, maybe that, maybe that. So insight can help us become less crazy. But in order for insight, the mind also needs to calm down. So Kyopa says, you should start with training with Samatha. But even that, you can see how it's not completely separate. As you cultivate Samatha, vipaśyanā is there, you need to recruit vipaśyanā to help. And then as Samatha becomes easier, right, then vipaśyanā grows. As vipaśyanā grows, right, Samatha becomes again more and more stable. This is very profound, and also this quote is talking about then the inseparability of calm abiding and insight. In general, calm abiding is any one-pointed mental concentration. I should say, like one-pointed mental concentration should not be interpreted again as this kind of narrow one-pointed. One-pointed means not distracted. And it should be a vast non-distracted rather than a narrow non-distracted. Not laser-like. If the Lama who initially induces abiding in the disciple's mind is a qualified Lama, his instruction will make use of the disciple's habits accumulated in previous lives. A really qualified Lama is able to see that and give the right remedy. Examples of this are Arhat Swagata, Master Nagabodhi, and so forth. So, footnotes, very helpful. The Buddha knew that from previous lives, his disciple Swagata had experience in meditation on blue objects. When he thus instructed Swagata to use a blue water lily as his object of meditations, Swagata attained mental absorption and then arhatship. Nagabodhi was a disciple of Nagarjuna. Knowing that his disciple's occupation in a previous life had been gathering wood, the master instructed him to visualize a tree growing on his head and focus on it. Through this instruction, Nagabodhi attained calm abiding. So here it also tells us, in some ways, right, technique-wise, right? So attitude is the one that says, that is informed by insight. Attitude-wise, you have to understand that your practice of calm abiding meditation, of the technique, is not going to work if you don't first make a resolve, have an understanding that attitude-wise, you need to develop a distaste for distractions, for the eight worldly concerns, for the pleasures of the senses, and a distaste for even, right, the pain of the five senses, meaning we're either, we get all upside down, either because we are actively chasing the pleasurable or we're actively running away from the painful. But if we can have more equanimity towards pleasure and pain, then we don't need to run around so frantically. So that attitude we have to develop. When we are developing that attitude and we pair it together with placing the mind on an object, that is interesting and satisfying in a skillful way. See, both in this example of Swagata and Nagabodhi basically tells us that the Buddha gave them objects of meditation that is attractive to them. Swagata in their past life have developed a liking for blue color. So then Buddha gave this object, a blue water lily. Just to kind of explore that a little, right? The Buddha did not, recommend to him like a blue, I don't know, monster truck, It may be blue, or whatever, equivalent of monster truck in the Buddha's time. It may be blue, but it's stirring up all kinds of so there's something about flower, blue and And Nagarjuna's solution for Nagabodhi is understanding that Nagabodhi was a wood cutter, and so has this interest, affinity with wood. It tells Nagabodhi, you let your mind settle on that tree above your head. So it's something that is pleasing and attractive, but does not stir up a lot of busyness, desire. It should be something that is pleasant, but also pleasant and satisfying. So should not probably say, meditate on a piece of chocolate. It's hard to get satisfaction, Might get interest, but hard to get satisfaction. Next. So I cannot meditate on Trent's toffee. Definitely have attraction, but no satisfaction. or satisfaction comes at the price of, too much sugar in the body, and then, spend the whole night, wake up the next day like a truck has run over you. So that cannot become an object for calm abiding. So along those lines, maybe as a plug for the new series, next 4 Thursdays in the Open Sangha time slot, there is the mindfulness of breath based on the 16 stages taught in the Anapanasati Sutta. I'm going to go over that. And so the object of breath, the Buddha identified as one of these very skillful objects. Firstly, because breath is something that we all have. If we don't have, then maybe no need to think about meditation. That's one obvious reason. So it's an object that we can always tune towards. Secondly, also breath can be very pacifying and can give rise to a type of satisfaction that is skillful. A skillful satisfaction, a general sense of well-being, general and can become deep sense of well-being can arise when we know how to relate to breath, use breath to regulate both body and mind. So that's one way to give rise to this 4th empowerment, Samatha vipaśyanā. So here, Kyoba Rinpoche isn't going in the predictable, typical discussions of the 4th empowerment. Nature of mind is this, that. Union of bliss and emptiness, and all very fancy words, And I think most people just get carried away by those words. I mean, truthfully, this is how I feel, so I'll just say it, We say so much these days, Vajrayana is very suitable to modern people, to modern life. I don't know these claims. I think it's just selling Vajrayana. Because Vajrayana has this language that makes people feel like, I can have my cake and eat it too, as we will say. So I don't have to give up anything and also be enlightened. But what ends up happening is just having a bunch of ideas, in our head. Fancy words, fancy terms. But meanwhile, completely still under the power of the kleshas. I'm not saying like everyone who does these practices or follow these are like that. No, not at all. I have met a lot of people who have really practiced Vajrayana the right way, sincerely, and making great progress, even more progress than I'm making. But at the same time, this commercialization and popularization, big name, teachers, one weekend and you will be recognized nature of mind, and now you just do that. Sounds good, If it works, then good, Then if it works, right, good, then one question: why did these people have to do it in such a difficult way? Why did Kyoba Rinpoche's disciples have to do it in such a difficult way? If we can be weekend warriors of Vajrayana, These people must be stupid to go into caves for 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah, maybe not very inspiring for me to say this, but you have to think, if it is so easy, and not just in the 12th century, like right now, in Tibet, in Bhutan, in Nepal, there are people who gave up everything. Living an ascetic life. Just because you and I right now not willing to live that life, I'm not saying you now have to go do that, I have not done that yet. I'm certainly not saying, like the only way to benefit from these teachings is go. But we should not pervert the Dharma and think, oh, we are the future of Vajrayana. See? We are so special, Mostly we're so deluded. Don't pervert the Dharma. There's a lot. The Dharma right now, even as we continue to live our lives as we are, there's so much that is very helpful. That's why I'm still here, interested in this Dharma. And presumably that's why you're still here, But don't pervert the Dharma. Part of it is maybe try to encourage us. The teachers have said very nice things. But we really need to think, If it is so easy, right? Why these people have to do it in such a hard way? Are they stupid? Do they have less merit? Yeah. Changju Semcho Rinpoche Mage Panam Ge Gyurche Ge Pa Nyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Bel Wan Shung. Okay, hasta mañana.